it's Asania from Writer Mom, and I'm here today with a quick roundup of some of the highlights and top tips I picked up at the Smarter Artist Summit 2017. So the first thing about the summit is that I almost didn't even go. I have a 9-month-old and a 5-year-old. My main babysitter canceled on me at the last minute. I was left without anybody who could take care of the baby during the day. I was really freaking out about it. I posted about it in the summit group, and so many people stepped in and offered suggestions, gave me words of encouragement. But I mean, for a few days there, I was definitely not even sure I was going to make it to the summit after all, and it was heartbreaking. But thankfully, I had some extended family step in and help me out and agree to help me take care of the baby. So several people came together in the end to help me make it to Austin, Texas for the Smarter Artist Summit. So I was super thankful for that. And then another thing was that it just wasn't easy to leave my kids behind. It was my first time being away from my 9-month-old, and she's so used to being around me all the time. I've stayed home with her since she was born, so it was just not easy for the both of us, but especially on her. And the night before the summit, I was just eating my emotions, not feeling good about leaving, and basically what was I thinking? Why did I book this trip? So I mean, it was just all this anxiety and all these thoughts about what are they gonna do without me. But thankfully my husband reassured me, my other family reassured me, and in the early morning, after staying up all night packing mostly their stuff, because if you have little kids, you know how much stuff they need just to survive a few days. My husband finally got me to the airport early the next morning. Once I got on the plane, I was feeling a lot better about the trip. I was feeling really excited all of a sudden and happy and just psyched to be there. Thankful for this opportunity, and my kids will survive 4 days without me. So I think once I was actually on my way, I was just really looking forward to the conference. That's another thing, is that Dave from SPP, he confessed that obviously he doesn't like to travel. It causes a lot of anxiety for him to fly. So just knowing that you're not the only one who had a little bit of anxiety getting there or being there with everybody else, it was nice to know that you're not alone. There are other people there that are in the same shoes as you. If you're nervous about going, if you've been wanting to go, just know that you're not alone, and there's lots of other people there that are really nice, and it's, believe me, as you're gonna find out, it really is worth it to go. So I'm really glad that I was able to go, and that I was brave enough to buy a ticket and just make myself go. So I never thought I would be one to go to an in-person event like that, but I'm so glad I did, and I definitely plan on going next year. Here are some of the cool things that happened during the summit and some of the cool people I got to meet. I got to meet Sean, Johnny, and Dave, of course, and they were super nice. And I got to take my picture with them. And if you want to look at some of the pictures that I took during the trip, check out the blog post that goes along with this video. It'll be in the description if you're on YouTube, or if you're on my website already, just check the post and you'll see the rest of the pictures and some of the tweets that I shared from the summit. So I met Chris Fox, and he was also really nice, and he kind of made my day, because when I went up and introduced myself to him, he actually recognized me, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then I also got to meet David Gaughran. Hanging out with him was really cool. He's such a funny guy, and he has all of these quotable insights on indie publishing. I also got to meet Dan Blank from Drafted Digital and Kevin Tumlinson. They were also both really nice. Monica Lionel, another author who I've followed for a couple of years now. I really love her work and everything she's doing in this space. So that was really cool to meet her in real life and get to have a conversation with her. And then there was just so many other writers that I met that I can't name them all, first of all, because I'm horrible with names, unlike Ben Hale. But it was just so cool to get to meet so many other writers who are doing the same thing as you, who are on the same path as you. Sometimes right next to you on this journey. Sometimes, there were so many authors there who are so full of knowledge and encouragement and advice, and also a few writers, who are just a few steps behind you. I think that's probably the coolest thing about the summit, is that you're getting to meet writers in real life. I think being a writer, one of the toughest things is that it's all online. You know, as cool as it is to be able to chat with anybody around the world, like getting to meet them in real life, that's just a whole different level. Getting to meet in person all of these writers who are doing the full-time thing, they've found success with writing and publishing, and knowing that if you're willing to do the work and put in the effort, that you can do it too. I mean, that, I think so many things clicked for me because of that. Like, it's things that I already know, things that I've heard before, but just meeting these people who have done it themselves, it really changed things for me. And so that's definitely one of the top reasons I recommend going to some kind of in-person event. And if you're looking for one to go to, I definitely recommend the Smarter Artist Summit, just because it's full of so many nice people, encouraging people. Everybody was so nice. Everybody from the speakers to the writer next to you was just so nice, always had a smile to offer. And it was just so great to have a in-person conversation with these other writers who are on the same journey as you. I know I don't have anybody in real life at home who I get to do that with, so just getting to talk to somebody, bounce ideas off of, get feedback, hear what they're doing, it really is invaluable. And then shout out to my 2 roommates. I got to room with Garo and Tammy Lebrecq. Both of them were so nice to me, and it was so great to hang out with them and tag along with them a little bit, because definitely one of the things that causes me anxiety the most, like especially with things like this, things like a conference, like it's just so intimidating to go into a room full of over 200 people and not really know any of them. I mean, seeing their name on Facebook or on Twitter, I mean, that's still really different than actually knowing anybody. So just getting to meet Garo at the airport and finding our Airbnb together and hanging out and having meals and just having some girl talk, it was just a lot of fun. And I know, like, if I hadn't met them and roomed with them, the event wouldn't have been nearly as much fun. So thank you guys, shout out to you guys, my new friends, my new accountability partners. I can't wait to see you guys again next year. Now I'll share some of the top tips I picked up from the summit. Some of them are probably things that you've heard before. I know I heard a lot of the same things before, but I think just hearing them in person really drove home. Like, hearing these things from writers who have been successful and are successful in the indie publishing space just really drove home their importance to another level. It's not the same as reading a blog post or reading a tweet about productivity or mindset. Meeting all these writers who are doing the work, it was amazing. So without further ado, some of the top tips. So the first speaker was Chris Fox, and he focused mostly on mindset. And I think lately I've been hearing more and more about the importance of mindset when it comes to being successful as a writer, or really as anything else. It really boils down to mindset, because he also said that one of the top things that you should be doing as an author is being consistent when you're publishing at least a few books a year if you can. And I mean, that really boils down to mindset. Like, you have to be in the right mental space to be writing every single day, to be consistently outputting more and more books for your readers. Definitely work on your mindset. I think mindset, the more that I think about it, it really is a foundation for your success in whatever you're trying to do. So make sure you're in a really great mindset, believing that you can be a 6-figure author, doing the work of a 6-figure author, not getting stuck in that mindset of, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it. He can be a 6-figure author, but I can't. It really boils down to believing in yourself and then doing the work to get there. And then he also emphasized the importance of having different pen names for like really different genres if you can, because you really want Amazon to be able to sell your book for you. And if you have really different genres under the same name, that's just going to confuse the algorithms. And so focusing a lot on how Amazon is selling your book for you and how you can help Amazon do that for you is really important. So not messing up your also bots, driving lots of really good traffic to your book early on so that Amazon knows what kind of readers to show your books to. So definitely check out Chris Fox's books if you haven't already, because he dives so much more deeply into all of these topics. But again, just focusing on mindset first, and then like everything else will follow. And make sure you're pushing a little bit more towards your goal every single day. Just one little thing. Being consistent is what it takes to be successful as an indie writer. Another one of the speakers, Calvin, I can't pronounce his last name, sorry, but I'll share all the speakers' names below. But he basically talked about finances, and this is something I've been focusing on personally anyway, so the vast majority of what Calvin talked about wasn't news to me. But I guess it really clicked with me that, as a business, I need to be smart financially too, not just in my personal life. You should be smart with your money. You shouldn't have all these crazy expenses and you're in the red every month. Or, you need to be saving in case of an emergency. What if you can't write for a few months and your business needs to be able to survive some kind of emergency? So the importance of saving, keeping your expenses low, making sure you pay all of your debt. That's definitely one of the big reasons I want to be an indie writer anyways. It's not just my love as a storyteller, but for financial freedom, making sure that I'm being smart financially in my business. That was another thing that I picked up. Some of the things that he talked about was decreasing your expenses. What can you do to increase your income? Is there some kind of freelance work or anything like that you can do in the meantime while your books make more money? How can you protect your money? Again, having some kind of a savings fund. Debt is not a tool. That's definitely a hard lesson for many of us is, don't just put everything on a credit card. Debt will only hold you back. And then the last step, once you do everything else, is to invest and have your money work for you. And then Jenna Sword, I think, she talked about branding for authors. And probably the biggest thing that I took away from what she was talking about was, your brand is not what you want. It's not just the fonts and colors that you like. Your brand needs to reflect, like what your readers think about you and your brand and your books. And then another really cool tip that she shared was the idea of a mood board. So you can do this on Pinterest or with like a real life collage, especially for your genre or for your series. Gathering any kinds of movie posters, pictures, photos, any kind of things that are, similar to the look that you're going for and the vibe and the mood that you want for your books and your brand or your genre, whatever, that can really help you and or your cover designer. And then Clark Chamberlain was talking about story and punching your readers in the gut with the emotion from your story. And some of my favorite tips from him was to make sure that your story and your story's themes really align with like your ideal reader and their inner desires. So for example, with YA, a lot of female teens, like what they're resonating with or like some of their inner desires at that age are romance, first love. For girls, independence. They're starting to break away from the family. And then for the boys, it's more about adventure, fantasy. And if there is romance, it's probably a little bit more on the physical aspects of that. Rest of the girls is probably more about the emotional aspects of first love and crushes. And then for the adult YA readers, I thought this was interesting. It's more about recapturing their childhood, reliving their memories, recalling their memories. I thought that was really interesting because, as you know, a lot of YA readers are actually adults. So making sure that your story kind of hits those inner desires with your readers is kind of what makes them addicted to your story. And then Christy Niles talked about productivity, and again, it was stuff that I've heard before, but just hearing it again, it just in person really makes all the difference. And probably the biggest tip that I got from her is that I need to do a time study. If you go to sterlingandstone.net and you search time study, you'll find it. There's a sign up box and you'll get a copy of her time study, but basically not just time management but energy management, jotting down every 15 minutes what are you doing, how are your energy levels, how are you feeling, and then so that you really get a better view of what you're actually doing with your time, what are the best times that you should be doing your writing, and basically just what your non-negotiable thing as a writer is to be writing. So every single day you need to be doing something to be getting closer to putting out your next book. And it all goes back to being consistent as an author. I really think the biggest piece of the puzzle, the most important thing towards your success as an indie writer is to be consistent. So every single day, even if it's just 10 minutes, what are you doing to be towards publishing your next book? Are you writing a draft? Are you revising or editing a draft? Are you sending that draft, that finished revised draft, out to your review team? Are you compiling or getting a formatter, or what are you doing to get your next book out? So I know this is hard for me because I waste a lot of time sometimes just doing other shiny new things, my website or whatever, and I really need to put the writing first. So that's definitely been like one of the biggest things that's changed for me since the summit, is just putting my writing first every day, no matter what. And then David Gaughran had a really cool talk. He talked about the reader's journey. So as writers, it can be so easy to focus on like what we want readers to do, the whole process of acquiring readers from our point of view, but really we need to focus on the reader's journey or the buyer's journey, how they find you the first time, reading one of your books the first time, getting to the email sign up call to action for the first time and what's in it for them. You need to make sure that you're focusing on them, and then focusing on conversion. So this isn't news for anybody who's in online business already, but it probably is for a lot of us authors. But focusing on improving your conversion, so focusing first towards the end of your funnel, so making sure that let's say your call to actions in the back of your book are converting. And then after that, once that's improved, then focusing on your description, your book cover. And then after that, driving traffic to your book. And one important thing he said was that also bots are crucial. So again, make sure you're telling Amazon, what kind of reader is best for your book. If you're focused on increasing your conversion of your Amazon sales page, Amazon is going to pay attention to that because that's what they're focused on. The higher conversion you have on your sales page, the more traffic they're going to send you because they know that people are going to buy once they land on your page. So definitely keep that in mind as you buy your book cover, as you write your sales description, and you're writing your calls to action. You always want to be improving your conversions. And he also mentioned BookBub and how to increase your odds of getting a BookBub. Focus on the comment box. Don't put anything on there that they can't already find on the Amazon sales page, but maybe focus on sales numbers, download numbers, any quotes from other authors. You really want to work that comment box, any awards or anything like that. And of course, probably one of the biggest factors is if the book is wide. So that's definitely one thing that we learned from a couple of BookBub representatives that were there, is that they really prefer books that are wide. And then one other interesting tip that I picked up from another writer at the conference, a lot of times we're focused on writing to market, but you also want to be focused on, where is the market going next? And she said that you do that by looking at what's going on in politics and the media and the news right now. What are those themes? And that's really where the market is going to be going next. So I just thought that was such an interesting tidbit. If your story can have the same themes as what's resonating with the world today, you can probably guess from some of the things going on in politics and the news today, gather some of those themes, because that's what's going to be hot in a few years. So that's how you can be ahead of the curve, is just to tweak your story so that it hits some of those ideas and themes that are really making people angry or upset. Any kind of topic or theme in the media like that is something really smart to incorporate into your story. So yeah, those are some of the highlights from the Smarter Artist Summit. Obviously there were so many other things, but those are just some of the top tidbits that I found. I'll be also sharing a ton of quotes that I picked up from the speakers, and I'll be tweeting those out soon, and I will compile those into a story, and I will put the link in the blog post for this video or the description on YouTube, so look out for that. And overall, I just had such an amazing time at the summit. I can't wait to go back next year. We had such an amazing time just getting to meet other writers, picking up new things. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you're more advanced. I think there's something that you can learn, and then so many people to meet, so many opportunities. I had so much fun, and I definitely recommend that you attend next year if you can. Even if you don't love to travel, or if you're gonna have to make childcare arrangements, you will learn so much and meet so many new awesome people. I don't even know what I expected for the summit, but I can definitely say that I was blown away by the amount of things that I learned and all the fun that I had. So definitely go if you can, and I hope I'll see you there next year. I'll also just quickly share, here's the journal that I took my notes in. I thought that was cool. Here's my badge. I'm wearing it right now. the Know Your Why shot glass. I thought that was cool, so that'll be on my desk to remind me of the fun times we had. I was also able to snag this autographed copy of Yesterday's Gone, signed by Dave and Sean, so I thought that was cool. I can't wait to read this. So yeah, so many cool things that I learned. I definitely couldn't share everything today, but definitely check out the blog post. I never realized how life-changing it would be to go to an in-person event like this, but I think you won't realize how life-changing an event like this can be until you go. So definitely, if you can, go. So, alright, I'm done raving about the Smarter Artist Summit. I hope you found some insightful tips in today's video, and if you did, I hope you subscribe. Never stop writing. Make sure you work every day towards your goal of being an indie writer. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. I'm at the Smarter Artist Summit. #I hate you all.